Yeah.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I was actually wondering about that. How the hell do you keep up the grind? Like, it's middle of COVID right now, and I felt like I've been checked out of this hobby for like a good long time, actually. Um, I've made a video, like the last build I had was a geared doga, and that was like so long ago, I
Oh
feels
my
like.
God.
But like how do you, you have made steady progress throughout this year, like during COVID and everything. Like how do you do it, man? What do you set goals? Do you have an
Uh,
Excel sheet? Like what's
no, I don't. I just keep going one after another. Like to be honest, like COVID actually helped me paint more because I
Hmm.
don't have to
Yeah.
go to the mall. the,
Yeah, that's
the
what I
only
was
place I
thinking.
go
Like
is just groceries.
you probably have more time, right? Because last time I talked to you, you were talking about how, oh, you don't have time and stuff like that, and like you can only paint or build model kits after like your
Yeah.
family like heads to bed or something, right?
Yeah.
Has
So
that
it's a
has that
little better
situation
now.
changed? Oh, okay, that's great. That's
It,
good
it
to hear,
does
man.
because the thing is, I'm doing work every other day. So I'm working from home Tuesday, Thursday. So when I'm home, I can multitask, right?
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, I
it's
see.
good.
Okay. Yeah, it's
It's
just
good.
that do you have like a setup that you're very comfortable with, and is that why you're able to kind of kick yourself into painting mode all the time or build mode all the time? Uh,
I think the trick is I switch between Gunpla and Figure
Hmm.
all the
mm.
time, so it's just keeping everything fresh, right?
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
and
So freshness. Okay.
and then I don't build just because I have stuff in my backlog. I build because I actually have an idea how I want it to be or what I want to try.
Hmm.
Especially figure painting. Like if you just paint a figure and as it is, then it's just a figure that you kind of have to come up with some kind of idea, a theme, or some Easter egg that you want to throw into the figure, or something new you want to try.
Hmm.
Because when you have that, then when you paint it, it's fun and exciting, right? Something new.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, oh,
I've started doing a
interesting.
bit of that too, not to the same degree of switching from a Gunpla to figure, but I've been building a T-72 kit to get me out of just focusing on the Gundam aesthetic of things and working at a different scale. And, just I found I've had a ton of fun taking a break from what I would normally do and doing another kit. So, like, I really like that idea. I've found
Oh
it's
yeah, it
been
makes a huge difference.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember I had that same feeling too when I first transitioned into Maquet, machine
Mm,
figure. um I was building and I was like, I can actually make these mistakes, whereas in Gundams I feel like in a sense I can't, right? um it's just like it's just this weird feeling like, oh, okay, if I make stipple stuff like this, I'm creating texture in the
Hmm.
Maquet kit, and then the whole kit will just look like it's weathered or something like that, and it's to scale. Whereas for
hmm.
Gundam, it's a little bit different, the process, I think. But I think it's just how like the methodology of like Gundams and the kind of weird unspoken rules that people find appealing about Gundams, but I think beginners and intermediate people cannot really put into words exactly. And it's just like a feeling. When you look at I think when you look at like a really clean model kit from like Gundam, it's kind of in a way expected.
Yeah.
Even if there's like light weathering or something like that, it's expected. But they don't expect real like true realism, right? And I think that's just how the nature of the subject of Gundam is. Even if people try to, like, this is just my opinion, but like I feel like people who try to kind of weather it, give it a realistic look, I've had very few encounters where I've seen that kid and be like, okay, I think that might be real. Like that could be a, like accurate representation of what the actual mobile suit would look like in real life. but I've never been able to imagine it because I don't think anybody like is there. I think the closest we've seen is probably like Katoki, and then maybe the post Katoki era where they started integrating light weathering techniques.
Yeah.
But it's just like a feeling, like it's a believability, right? It's like, are you able to suspend your belief for a little bit and believe that this could be real? And for the most of the time, my gut feeling is no.
Hmm.
But there, it
And that's the thing. If you
yeah.
can create something that visually, aesthetically looks awesome,
Hmm.
that you can forgive a lot of the things that might not make a whole lot of sense. Like
Oh, yeah.
even doing text too. Like people are doing the color modulation
Hmm.
for the shading right now, and that's a way of shading that makes no sense at all. There's no realism into it, but it looks good visually.
Hmm.
So I guess at the end of the day, is like if you can create a product that looks awesome and kick ass, and you know what, like if someone tells you Gundam don't rust, no, you can tell them to F off.
Yeah, like Gundam don't rust these nuts, man. Like it's not real. Like
Exactly.
it's not fucking
It's
real.
never real. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's never real. It's just this, I guess, I don't know. It's kind of my stance with Gundam like aesthetic is just really really weird. I think like especially right now, I think I'm in a well, how do you say this? Like I'm not in a creative rut, but I'm kind of in this phase right now where I look at a lot of people's builds and then I just kind of process and I want to see more. I'm kind of in a state of like constantly absorbing information. I don't know how your workflow might be, Simon, but usually I when I take long breaks, I guess it's like a way for me to kind of recharge. I'm looking at other people's builds and I'm seeing that maybe the way I build isn't like the way I like it to be, and that's why I kind of need this recharge period. Um, I was talking to Ryan Lau, like I think a couple weeks ago, and I was looking at his Gundam head. You remember his Gundam head, right?
Yep.
You seen, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Like I really, really dig the Gundam head, and I mean, like the way he uses color is like pretty nuts. Um, but I don't know, but like picking the right colors is such a weird thing for me as well because I can't like there are some things where you can look at it and then you feel it. You're like, okay, this feels right. There's no
Mhm.
color like but like what you feel is what makes up the color theory, right? It's not the other way around. There's no like
It's
I'm not
true.
sure if there's hard math in color theory. Um, but it's just like once you see a certain color, you just kind of feel it. And maybe it's my weird intuitive thinking, and I don't know where the fuck I'm leading with this. I don't know where the fuck I'm going, but it's just coming out of my head as I'm talking. But
Yeah, but it is true though. Like the more you study other people's build,
mhm.
then you pick the pieces that you like and you absorb and then becomes yours, right? It's
Yeah,
like people would ask me like, how do you do scribe lines? And like I can teach you the technique how to do scribe lines easily.
yeah,
Give me a week or something, you'll be a master of scribing the line. But
hmm,
then how do you come up with the layout, the design that it looks good? That's something that takes
yeah,
years that you have to
yes,
see other people's work and then you know what looks good to you. It's probably going to
hmm,
look good to other people. And then you sometimes you copy, sometimes you try them out, and but
hmm,
eventually becomes your own, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think there has been anything that like a skill that's on the on out there right now that no one
Hmm,
has attempted.
hmm.
Practically everything that can be done has been discovered, right? So it's just how you're utilizing all those tools to create something that has your name on it.
Yeah,
It
that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, it's just like
yeah,
I
it's
think. Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just saying that like a lot of people like you see builders, some
Hmm.
are competition builders, some are just building because they love the hobby itself.
Hmm.
You can tell the difference because For example, if someone who just like Gundam and they start doing all the detailing, all the scrapping and all that, it comes out Gundam. That looks really good, a really good build. But you see that as Gundam itself. But if you talk to a competition builder, they'll try to create something that when you see the end product, you see, oh wow, that's John's work, that's Andrew's work, that's Simon's work. Like the signature is there that you can tell the difference instead of saying that, oh, that's a really good detailed Gundam Mark II. Instead, you're gonna see, oh, that's really good Simon's work. So that's a difference between just a hobby builder or someone who really likes to build, than someone who actually put in the thought for competition that they actually want to create something that belongs to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
Oh yeah, no,
that's how I
I
see it.
definitely. I think it's just like I mean, it's also the aesthetic biases that we create, right? Like, I think I think a lot of tutorials out there and how people build, they talk about their process, right? But they never
Mm-hmm.
explain how they got their processes there in the first place. Like, why did you choose to do this instead, right? I think there's not enough conversation about the other side of the hobby, which is not the technicality of a technique, right? Because I've seen a billion scribing videos by now, I think. Like, I could confidently say that there's enough resources for scribing out there, but there isn't enough on how an artist can approach finding their style, um, like making it a conscientious effort to find their style, right? I'm not talking
Right,
about like subconsciously where you kind of, you know how builders are. We just absorb what we like and then we subconsciously add it to our own builds, right? But I'm
right,
talking more like being conscious about it, right? And trying to kind of find that style and coming to terms whether or not this is yours or not is a completely different story. But I feel like that conversation has so many pages, and I don't think it's been kind of like explored enough. Um, so yeah, the finding the style and the processes and the bias and the aesthetic of your own choices, I think that takes a lot of thinking. Like I
yeah,
mean I think it's just because of COVID specifically, I have more time to think about it while I'm not building, right?
right.
But sometimes it might actually just be easier if you just, you know, picked up my nipper, right, and I start building or something, right? Um, but that's something it's been in the back of my mind bothering me for a long time, and I have no idea kind of like where to go because I feel
Yeah.
like I remember Simon, you told me like I do when I build something, I'm beginning to emerge in a style, but I'm not very sure having a style is good or not, right? Um, everybody has their signature. I think like if I look at Ryan's and I look at your work, Simon, I know like that's yours, and even Andrew, uh,
Hmm.
is like hand painting work is like I could see like okay that's Andrew's, right? Um, but you know I'm not sure if if like having a style is good or are you supposed to be like I don't know.
I don't think you should,
It's,
I don't think you should
yeah.
go like intentionally look for a style. It's just
Hmm.
something that you develop over time, I guess.
Yeah, it's more intuitive that way, right? Uh,
Yep.
yeah. So I guess the intuitive way is definitely the best, and just like not think about it too much. But man, COVID,
Yeah,
man, you just have
but the
nothing to
fact
do
that
but think. Yeah.
but the fact is, the more you see other people's work, like, the more you're exposed to, the higher the chances you're gonna find something that you really like and you want to dig into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm always on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, looking at other builders' work all the time.
Hmm. Yeah, all the time. It's just like a good reference library, I guess, in a way, right? Depending on who you follow.
It kind of like when you're an artist, right? And you're looking to get into character design and such. You on top of like learning what to draw and how to draw it, you go out, you look for reference, and you build a mental visual library in your head of things that you
Right.
like and things that work. And then
Mhm.
eventually, when you accrue such a visual library, you're going to start bringing out the stuff of it that you like, the stuff of it that is the strongest, right? You know, doing illustrations and drawing stuff. You see a lot of this in you know, illustrators, like I said. But it's for me, I like this process where you just kind of learn about yourself and learn about the people around you and see what you like, what they like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I come to realize that on a subconscious level, like this is we're going to five head territory now, okay? Five head, all
Oh,
right? This is
hell
big
yeah.
brain shit. I think that how someone builds is like a reflection of them subconsciously. And I feel like what I'm having right now is self-doubt or something like that, you know?
Mm.
Maybe that's why I've stopped building or something. But I feel like at a core of it, there's definitely something there, right? Like how you decide to build, how you want to do it, the ways and the methodology and what you want to do is there. I think that in it of itself is completely true. Um, and like yeah, I mean in terms of like technicalities too, I think like if somebody I don't know, it's hard to explain. I think there's something much more going on when you look at someone's kit and their work. Um, that goes deeper than just what you see on the table, right?
Right.
Um, but again, that's something I've thought about like during this time. So might be stuck in
Well, you
like a
should be
fucking mental
building
room.
more instead of thinking.
Yeah, instead of thinking so much, right? Yeah,
What the thing it is,
definitely.
like you actually have to try all different stuff, right? Because you
Hmm.
don't know what are you gonna like it until you actually try it.
Yeah.
Because like you can be focused, you're like Ryan, that you can be focused in a clean, beautifully described, very cool design, but doesn't mean you shouldn't try weathering. Like you should at least
Hmm.
get to know what's on the other side, what's the other tank that's available, so that those becomes your options. Because the way I look at building Gunpla, like I look at building in Gunpla, I look at it as I have an idea. How do I materialize that idea? And then
Hmm.
if I don't have the skill set or the tools to make that happen, then that's a drawback. Like I could have this kick-ass idea that I can
Hmm.
build it to 100%. I'm gonna be the world champion. Okay, but
Hmm.
if I don't have the right skill, but I don't have the know-how how to do it
Hmm.
properly, then my end product is just gonna be like 30% of what I imagined up in my head, and that's a shame. So that's why
Yeah.
I always want to try all different things to know all the so those becomes all the options open. So when I actually have the idea, I
Hmm.
have to know how to actually make it happen. Because I'd
Yeah.
say if it comes to the end game for competition wise, skill wise, everybody's probably on par at the similar level, right? So at the
Hmm.
end of the day, the only thing that matters is who's got a better idea for that one competition.
Right.
Mm.
So that
Yeah.
becomes important. So if I even if I have the idea, but then I don't have the skill to actually make it happen 100%,
Hmm.
then I have a lesser chance to win a competition, right?
Yeah. Uh, do you ever like self-reflect on the pieces that you've built from previous years? Because I'll say that when you were talking about how like ideas come into fruition, a lot of the times while in the middle of building, I realized that like I've adjusted and created compromises, and then sometimes during building, I would be like, oh, okay, I created something new that's better than my shitty idea that I had while I was in the planning phase or something, right? And then, you
Right.
know, afterwards, after I finished building it, I would like not look at it. So it's funny. there's so if you don't know, Simon, after I build the model kit, the GBWC stuff, I just shove it in a hobby shop that would take it. Like I don't look at it. I don't even I left a trophy there too. Like I don't look at it. I don't deal with it. But then like when I come back into the hobby shop again, I kind of feel like I have fresh eyes, right? So then when you're actually looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, you've detached yourself from kind of like your bias, and now you're like, oh, yeah, no, this doesn't look that good, or like
Yeah,
there's some areas that I did pretty well in, but like in these areas, like I felt like in the moment while I was building, I created that compromise, right? Like
right.
I
I'm the
but
same way.
oh yeah, you
I'm
feel
the
that
same
way
way.
too?
Absolutely. Like if I look at every single build that I've done before,
Hmm.
my feeling is I could have done better.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah. That's probably true for all everyone who
right.
looks back at their old work. That I
But the
think
thing is,
that's the
at
thing.
that moment in time when I was building it, that's the best I can do. So it's
Yeah.
okay. The fact that I think that I can do better now, that basically means I have become a better builder compared to
Hmm.
when I did that piece. So it's all it's a good sign. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just like I guess like a self-reflection or like note that you're
Yeah,
like it's like
yeah.
the idea that I have, is it explainable while I look at it, right?
Hmm.
Um, I was
The
talking
problem
to
with doing that though, the problem with doing
yeah,
that, if you
yeah.
have a build that lasts you 2 or 3 years, like what I'm doing right now,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
your ideas change, your skill level change. And then
Yeah.
you look
Yeah.
back to the stuff you did 2 years ago, like, I should have restarted or no, should have tried
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
improve
just
it.
scrap this and restart
I
it or
just scrap it
something,
and
right?
do it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I definitely felt that in my first GBWC entry. Was it my first? No, second one in Canada. The Raven.
Hmm.
I felt like I had kind of what I wanted to do, but I my technical skill was not there yet. So like the Raven felt like in terms of form, I believe that the shape was right, but it's just like the inherent mechanical details was not pushed out
mm,
enough. There were no like there wasn't enough like scribing or anything like that because I wasn't really familiar with the tool. I think at the time, like I was just really good with putty work, messing around with putty, but I didn't spend a lot of time figuring out like scribing and the how the shape of the kit really mattered, right? And then the next entry, the Zaku one, I remember like yeah, the skirt was definitely like underdeveloped compared to the rest of the body. And then the color scheme was like also questionable as well, right? So there's like I think this year I've just been thinking a lot about color and mechanical details. And I think that's just probably something that in my life I just don't remember like putting an importance to. But now I see the importance of it, right? Um but then now I'm just kind of like, ah, you know what? I know it. Okay, cool, kind of. And then I do nothing. I just watch movies now. I don't do shit. Fucking hell.
Mm.
Goddamn. Yeah. I don't know. Like, how's COVID treating like you guys then? I know Simon, you just work for like you just keep working and working.
pretty much, yeah.
I'm just surprised like you don't have burnout. Um, because I feel like I certainly do. Um, So that's why I was kind of curious on like how you're just able to keep going. But you just say you like you have it fresh. You just kind of
Yeah.
like
Well,
tilt to
see,
your
if I feel when you get burned out, you start something new. So it's
Mm.
fresh again.
yeah. You gotta start something new. Yeah.
You just have to make sure you don't start too many different things so you can never finish them. That's all.
Yeah. I mean
Yeah.
there's a point in place in that as well, right? Where you kind of just go like, oh, I should keep starting, keep starting, keep starting.
Well,
Um,
the good thing with figure painting is that like the maximum,
mhm.
probably the stuff that I'm doing would take me maximum 3 months to do one figure. So it's not long enough to a point that I will just give up. So
Right.
I
It's kind of
constantly have new stuff coming out that just to keep the drive going.
yeah. Manageable,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I
Yeah.
prefer XG now more so than MG nowadays.
Yeah.
Because they're just smaller and quicker to work on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
me
seems
too.
like there's a bit of a more of a canvas in HGs than there are on MGs, from the get go anyway. But yeah, Dan, what were you saying?
I mean, I brought up the tank I was building earlier, and for me, that's quite a taste breaker because,
Mhm.
I've been playing, you know, Doom and building robots inspired by Doom, but like, I started playing this one game with my friends that we used to play years ago. And so, it being a Cold War strategy game, of course, like tanks are going to play a role in that, right?
Mhm.
And just breaking out and linking my reinvestment in something that used to bring me a lot of joy back in the day with a new project. That's why you know, it's been a month and I've almost finished it already, right?
Yeah.
Because just quick and easy to work on. Meanwhile, my cyber demon, which is like my white whale, my Moby Dick right now, it's just like he's sitting next to my webcam, just kind of looking at me like, come on, bud. um, but going back to a bit of that discussion earlier about like uh putting your kits away and coming back to them later with kinder, more realistic, critiqueful eyes, that's why I like all my illustrations and stuff. I've got illustrations from, you know, 5, 6 years ago. I still got some things from high school still that I keep around just to bring out a look at again and think like, oh, I was doing not even just the subject matter, but just like the
Mhm.
techniques I was using and stuff. Like, oh, I really remembered when I was just starting to experiment with a India ink and
Mhm.
stuff, and just kind of the way I would let my figures flow and stuff. It was for me, going back and reanalyzing it, and then you take that old idea and you do it with your know-how you have now. And it's at the end of the day, for me, it's something that I find quite fun and enjoyable, and you turn out with something that's a nice synthesis between the you from now and the you from back then, if that kind of artistically makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Especially the synthesis part.
Hmm.
It's just like I obviously, like, everyone realizes from the get go, like, yeah, of course, like everyone's gonna improve and stuff like that, right? But um, it's it's a different feeling when like an individual goes through it, right? And they're just beginning to realize and be more kind of analytical. But I know some people are never like that. A lot of artistic uh, individuals, they all have their own method of like the synthesis that you talk about, right?
Yeah.
And it's so organic for them. Whereas like now, I remember I did feel that way as well, where everything was just organic. Like if I build, things are just gonna happen, right?
Hmm.
Um, but with everything recently not building and thinking so much about it, I felt like I've become way more analytical than I was before.
Hmm.
So it it's kind of hard sometimes to kind of take a step back from thinking so much into just doing something, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I guess that's the that's the thing with COVID. Man, fucking COVID, man. Like
Fuck
this.
COVID. All my homies hate
I'm
COVID.
I'm getting I'm getting vaccinated next Thursday. Uh,
Congrats.
I booked
Oh,
it.
good for you.
Yeah, yeah. Simon, did you take your vaccination
Oh
yet?
yeah, I took it like a month ago.
Oh, awesome, man. When are you taking
Yeah.
your second dose? Did they tell you?
Yes, they actually booked both dosage at the same time. So mine's coming
Um,
in August.
Nice.
August. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Damn, that's
yeah,
that's that's pretty soon too.
yeah.
I hope things
It's
just
funny.
like
I
eventually
got
go back
knocked
to
out.
normal.
I got knocked out 2 days solid from that.
Holy, really?
You got
Damn.
Pfizer, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, my wife took the same shot, and then she didn't feel anything.
Huh.
I completed outbreak
Huh.
for 2 days.
What the? Oh, I guess it affects everybody a little differently, right?
Yep.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of variables that are in the human body that determines whether or not we're okay with some things. But
Well,
that's
like
that's pretty
everyone's
crazy.
immune systems are different too, right? And
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you guys aren't having like a lockdown or anything like that, is it?
We
We've kind of got they call it a circuit breaker over here. So
right.
like
Yeah, yeah.
we're
Oh,
still allowed to go outside and stuff, but you're not allowed to dine in restaurants.
right.
You're not allowed to like sit down and gather around in places. You can
Mhm.
gather outside in groups up to 10, there's no
Uh-huh.
curfew. Um, but yeah, it's a very murky kind of situation,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, good thing is though, the circuit breaker, we just got news like 5 hours ago. It's going to be over next week
Yeah, they're ending
in
it.
BC. So
Oh,
we're
nice.
we're, we're finally ending it. Um, but I guess it's like the question at hand is whether or not like the indoor stuff will be okay again.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's just like in Vanpla, like because this is Vanpla Cast, we I guess we have to like mention Vanpla a little bit, right? It's just like Vanpla, like I don't know how it is like in Toronto, Simon, but Vanpla is always been like in-person meetings, and that's
Hmm.
the scope and
Ah,
the bulk of the community engagement. It's always been the
right.
monthly meetings that really kind of get the community like together. Now that we're for distance, there's like Discord where people talk and stuff like that, but you know, it's it's different, right? It's a different feeling.
Yeah,
Like
for
I
sure.
think, yeah. And I remember I used to be pretty like excited to go to a Vampla meet just to see like what everyone's doing. But I
Hmm.
think a lot of people who go like to Vampla meetings, because we're so kind of like close to each other, we don't really show off our work in progress online. We kind of just show each other
Mm,
in person, right? So what that means
nice.
is because of COVID, we're still in that habit of not sharing the thing just because like we're like, I'll probably see you, maybe, I don't know, right? And it's been like, I don't know, for like a whole damn year, right? So yeah, I think that feeling definitely like changed up a lot of the dynamic in Vampla. And going forward, I hope everything is okay back to normal once we have meetings again. But meetings is like usually like 30 people inside like a shop, right?
Nice.
So that's like it's nice, but I'm not sure if the fucking country's there yet, right?
No.
To validate that kind of meeting. I have no idea. So I guess we'll see. But like
Well,
Simon, like how's your
Well,
Toronto like
it's
COVID thing?
well they're starting to announce a reopening plan right now. I think phase three is coming in August. That's when most things will be back to normal, hopefully. I think they're
mhm.
basing effort on the percentage of the vaccine right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the numbers are coming up quite nicely. Like people are not against the vaccine, that's sure. Like you know how in some Asia country people just don't want to take it, right?
Yeah,
So
Asia's a
yeah, so
whole different jungle. Like
exactly.
completely. I didn't mean
Yeah.
it in like a
I'm
racy
sorry, man.
Vietnam
Come
way.
on.
It's not
Come
fucking Vietnam, bro.
on.
Not everything's helicopter noises, man. Calm down. God damn, this ain't Nam, bro.
Yeah, buddy. All
But
right.
Asia's definitely a different jungle. And I guess for our last thing that I want to talk about today, I guess Simon, you probably have more experience than us. Like in terms of the jungle over there on the other side of the world, like what do you see the difference in the kind of like ideology and the way how Westerners and people in the East build. How do they differ in terms of
Wow.
approach, in terms of like mentality?
Hmm.
You have any insight on that?
I well, I still run a group in Hong Kong right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Um, we have about 4,000 members over there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Predominantly, most of our members does weather build. So most of us are old school per se. So we're
Mm-hmm.
in the generation where we mix Gunpla with tech stuff, try to make things look real. The good 80s and good 90s. Um, the clean builds are we've noticed that most of the younger builders that we have are more into clean builds, and that is the trend right now in Asia for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that's like a internet trend, or do you think it's just like how they consume content that influences their aesthetic choices? Because I realize that a lot of Westerners here really like clean builds as well. Um,
Right.
and I feel like that's probably global. Do you think maybe that's Bandai's
It
kind of like
it
mission to push that, or do
I
you think it's just how they consume it?
personally, my feeling is Bandai's pushing it.
Yeah.
It's just the way that they present their stuff. Uh, don't know why, but I'm not against clean build. I like when it's at the end of the day, if it's a good build, it's a good build. Whether it's clean or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as it visually it looks awesome to me, that's a good build. Um,
Yeah.
but it's very different mentality, especially when it comes to clean and versus weather. Uh,
Mm.
like personally, I prefer weather, not partly because I actually grew up with it. But to me, I get more out of a model because
Mm-hmm.
hey, if you do a clean build, you scribe, you paint it, and you put in the effort in the design and all that, you're done. When it
Hmm.
comes to weather, I get to paint the whole build all over again.
Yeah.
So I get to paint the
And
same kit two
in
times.
some ways, you're even telling a story, right? Because the weathering
Exactly.
kind of contextualizes the setting in which you're.
And that leads to the other thing, because when I'm doing the weathering, the
Mhm.
main goal is to try to tell a story. So it would make sense if I have a diorama, I have a
Mhm.
I have something actually happening to go with my story. So it
Mhm.
actually gives me more stuff to do with one build. So to me, that's more fun.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but I see other people find the fun in the designing part. That how do I come up with the most kick-ass scribing layout? You know, and they how do I come up with the most perfect paint job? So that's fun for them. It's just for me, I'd rather be more like a storyteller than
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
than how should I say that? A very skillful craftsman.
Ah.
Because that's part of
Mhm.
the thing with a clean build that you have to be a top-notch, very precise, very accurate builder. So you're showing off the skill set. But
Yeah.
on my end, I'm trying to show off the idea and the story that I want to tell. So it's
Right.
two different approach.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah, but
that's
in
that's.
Asia,
Uh-huh.
like most of my guys in my group are more towards the weather and storytelling diorama thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the core members are right. You mean like out of
Yep,
the
yep,
1,000? Oh, okay. So they have
yep.
a very, I guess, like-minded mentality with you, right?
That's
Um,
right.
and Simon, where did you grow up? What
Hong Kong.
era are you from? Hong Kong, around the
Yeah, 70s.
seven
So,
seventies.
Wow.
yep. Hey, Gundam comes out in 73, so I practically grew up with Gundam.
Oh, are you what are you're a Gen Xer, right? Then I assume.
I don't even know what's the definition of Gen X,
Oh, okay. It's
but
like
You were in your 20s in the 90s, right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. You're
okay.
Gen X.
Gen X. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember the yeah you know Derek, right? Derek Sue, the
Yep.
guy who yeah, he's kind of like had similar upbringing as you then in a way, because he grew up in Indonesia,
Uh-huh.
but he assumed like Zeta. them as a kid.
Right.
VHS tapes and
Ah,
whatnot, right? And model kits, old school stuff. Hell no, I was never a part of that, but I always hear stories.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
VHS. We're talking about beta here, not even VHS.
Oh yeah. It's like
Wow.
way before that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that old. It's just that if you grew up in the 70s, you're exposed to not just Gundam, because the modeling
Yep.
world is tank, it's cars, it's plane, it's battleship, and everything else.
Hmm.
So at when I was young, I'm exposed to all different types of things, and at the end of the day, sci-fi Gundam seems to be the one that takes a bit from everything and put them together into one product.
Yeah, that kind of like
That's the part I like it.
synonymous. Yeah, it's very synonymous with like Star Wars, right? In a really weird way, because the way they
Yep.
Mm.
design props and everything, it's just like they come from these different things. And that's something also I realized too. Back then, it has not become niche markets yet. Like, what I mean by that is people who generally build model kits, they build model kits. Like, they build all types of subjects and not just Gundam. But
That's right.
nowadays we're transitioning into an era, or we're already living in this postmodern era where all the market is in a way like quote unquote niche, right? Where
Hmm.
like people who build Gunpla sometimes will only build Gunpla. There's enough
Mm.
like product out there and consumerist product out there to really like pinpoint on what an individual likes, right? Because there's enough time now where there's enough old model kits for old people, people who like older model kits to enjoy, and then the new school stuff where everything snap fit like pretty well, perfectly, right? So it's just how the demographic works. I remember in I'll give a shout out to Ian. He's
Mm.
a member here in Vanpla. Um, and he was talking about how in the 90s, while he was in university here in Canada, the people who are into anime were like into all sorts of subjects, right? If they liked science fiction, they would watch like Akira, but at the same time they would watch like, I don't know, some shoujo stuff, right? It's
Mhm.
just like the genre was very diverse, but nowadays it's different, right? Some people only watch like shonen now,
Hmm.
or some people only watch like the Netflix stuff. So it's like it's really like it's spread out now, I think, and I think maybe that's why the young people like the clean build because it's what Bandai was pushing, right? And some people I know only build Bandai products, right? They don't
True.
build like Kodo or whatever, you know. And some people just live by like Bandai, which is completely fine.
Yeah.
It's their
But
money at the
it's
end
a
of the day.
different world now. Like
Yeah, yeah.
like information is so easily accessible. Like if I never built the model before, I can just go on Google, just go on YouTube and find anything that I need to learn. I can learn it from there.
Mhm,
Back in my time, you don't get that advantage. You
mhm,
basically go to the model shop every day and look at the
mhm.
display case they have and try to figure out how people did things, and that's it. No one's gonna teach you.
Yeah.
The
True.
the French bot just died.
It's all good. French pod can suck a fat one.